What is up, YouTube? Third Impact here, bringing you the 23rd episode of Kill titled Imitation Gold. Now, this episode, guys, was just one of the best examples of a penultimate anime episode. They pulled out all the stops, reaching this climax to the series, and, I mean, we saw the setup of this in the last episode, with bringing back those old characters like Hakodate and Fukuruda, but it really had a cool moment for every single character that we've seen so far in the show. It brought them all back, and it brought back all the little quirks of all these characters too. Like, it brought back the tea of Soichiro. It had Bazaro Makanshoku healing people and using his medical skills on the battlefield. And I think, personally, most prominently, this episode featured a ton of Elite Four fan service. There was so much awesome Elite Four goodness in this episode, it was just crazy. But before we get to the Elite Four, the last episode ended with Fight Club Mako being back. And this episode begins with her able to take down this giant Gypsy Danger covers with her 99 mount emergency rescue suction device, where she takes 999 of those suction devices that I thought Gamaguri was so cool for using 9 of them in the last episode, but she uses 999 of them. So that was kind of cool, and she just takes out that guy no problem. And she fights off a couple more while running back to eat her mom's croquettes to get more power, but the main moment where Fight Club Mako shone was in taking down that giant super cover. So we get the explanation as to why Nui's arms didn't recover when they were cut by the Kamui that Ryoko received. And this explanation's kind of weird because it makes sense. The whole point is that these resilient life fibers that when cut regenerate, you have to cut them from both sides at once in order to make them stop fully. So it makes sense with that combined scissor how it would be cutting them on both sides. But when you're holding each scissor blade in one hand, I guess you gotta come at it at the same time. But this was kind of strange because with Nui, I don't really feel like we saw this. I mean, maybe Ryuko cut her arms from both sides with each of her arms, but it seems strange to think that out. And also, when Ishin, Matoi, Ryuko's father, cut Nui's eye, he sort of took one blade and sliced. So I don't really think that Nui was cut from both sides necessarily, but the point is you gotta cut from both sides, and it's very handy now that Roggio broke Bakuzan, because now that Satsuki has 2 Bakuzan blades, she can now use it just like the Kamui and sever these life fibers. So Satsuki and Ryoko approach Roggio on the primordial life fiber, and she pulls out these giant sewing needles, which are apparently super hardened life fibers, and are what Bakuzan and the Scissor Blade are both based on. So they start going at it, fighting like crazy, flying around the ocean and stuff, and during this fight, the primordial life fibers blasting missiles at Ryuko, and then it turns its attention on the naked sun, and it launches this hook into it, opens this giant like mouth, and it's like going for the naked sun, about to devour it. So then this is the part where Mako's eating croquettes to get energy to fight off the super covers, and the Elite Four get their new uniforms, which are crazy. They're like partly their old uniform sort of style, but it's almost combined with their new nudist beach style. So parts of them are exposed, but then in other parts they have like Bakuzan armor and stuff. It's just crazy. They all look really cool, and they all get a lot of screen time to be showing off, just destroying covers. So that part's really cool. And during this fight, Roggio and Satsuki and Ryuko's fight's also escalating. And during random parts of this, you see Roggio's sewing needles, and they appear to change throughout the fight into like twigs and branches and things. So I'm not sure if this was going for like biblical references, but they're not always like this. But you see during certain moments that they are. So it's just interesting to note. And Ryuko seems to have a plan that she tells Satsuki, and she goes in for this attack. It gets super dramatic, the music stops, it slows down. You think that Ryuko has cut Roggio, and it looks like she has for a minute, but she instantly heals, and then Roggio sticks her blades up and just splits Ryuko straight in half, and it's just like, that moment in the episode was just so crazy. The two House of Robots are just like going down along the two sides of the primordial life fiber. It's just like, you know that she's probably fine, but it was still like a pretty crazy moment. So Satsuki's continuing to fight Roggio while this is happening and explains how she was actually just a distraction and that Roggio shouldn't waste so much time monologuing because Ryoko strikes back with the help of the Elite Four as well. And the whole thing was, like Roggio, how she has life fibers right inside of her body. And like how Roggio, when her head was cut off, there was still one fiber that connected it and she could still regenerate. There was still one fiber that connected her lower half to her top half. So she fell down to the ocean, regenerated, and came back for a surprise attack. And the Elite Four come in here. Inamuda throws Satsuki her blades that she lost. And they're going in for this one big final attack. And at the same time that this is happening, Mikisugi back on the ship is unleashing his last trump card. They turn the Naked Sun into this seam ripper blade. And it's just like, it's just so great. At this point in the episode, just so many things are building up. Like the fight on the life fiber, the fight off of life fiber. Everything is kind of building up to this big moment. And I forgot to mention another quick thing while Ryuko returns with the Elite Four. I mentioned before how they have like Bakuzan armor on some parts of them, but like Gamaguri stops Roggio's blades with his body. And he's like truly Satsuki's wall now that he has his Bakuzan armor. Sanagiyama goes for an attack on Roggio and she makes fun of him for not having eyes and like how could his attack hit, but the secret of his new uniform is he has his eyes back, so like that's really crazy too, and that part's just awesome. They're trying to work up enough power. Okay, wait, number one, Ryuko is attacking the core of the primordial life fiber with her double decapitation mode blades, which is awesome, and at the same time, they're trying to work up enough power on the Naked Sun to ram it into the primordial life fiber as well, but they can't do it. But the music kicks in, Ryuko's trying to break through, and Mako's giving this inspirational speech as how she's going to always be there for Ryuko, and she's running on the treadmill, producing enough power for it to go flying right into the core of the primordial life fiber. And they still just need like a little bit more, and then all the old student council presidents from all the different clubs, all the old enemies, they're all on the treadmill too, helping Mako, and it's enough power for them to just charge right through the primordial life fiber. It goes flying by Roggio's head, and she looks so pissed, more pissed than she's ever been in the whole series. But at the same time, she says that it's all just a waste of time, and the dust sort of settles, and then we're given sort of the end of the episode. So once the dust settles, you hear Nui's voice taunting all the survivors, and you see her appear, and there's this one moment where you see it sort of looking up from the ground's perspective, and her head's like looming over them all, and it's literally like a shot directly out of End of Evangelion when Third Impact's occurring, and Rei's face is down, like looking down on the earth. So there was so many parallels to Gurren Lagann and Evangelion in this episode, but just moving on for now, Nui announces how Shinra Koketsu is finally completed, and Roggio first gives Nui new arms, which are like kind of weird and blue and crazy looking, and she's like, these aren't necessarily going to be good enough, as good as the nimble fingers of the Grand Couturier, but at least they'll let you fight these humans, so Harame Nui is going to be doing some more awesome stuff next episode. I'm glad she survived. But Shinra Koketsu is completed, and it's like this crazy looking like acolyte robes, and it's really cool. And they're going to battle. You hear the end theme music kicking in, all the old enemies, everybody's enjoying Soichiro's tea. They're all going to go for that final battle next episode, and the credits kick in. And they're the regular old end credits, but then there's a part where like Chibi Nui pops in instead of Mako, and the end credits get cut off partway by Nui, and she's like, "Welcome to the runway of hell," and it's like, whoa, like that part was really, really cool, and I mean, I really like Nui, so that part was amazing. But she cuts off the end credits, and then you're just given the rest of the credits while there's episode going on, and this part's just crazy for them to just throw in here to set up the final, but Roggio's wearing this new robe now, and she activates it like Shinra Koketsu, like life fiber subjugation mode, and she absorbs Rei Homaru into her, which is also just like a crazy End of Evangelion reference, because the whole thing is that Rei is absorbed into Lilith, which makes Third Impact occur, but in this Rei Homaru is being absorbed by Roggio, and I don't know what this means. Like, I thought that she was just like an emissary of the life fibers or some life fiber being. Apparently, she needs to be absorbed to gather this energy or something. I don't know. And Nui is still just kind of up there floating as like this sort of figure that's like behind the scenes. So she might still be the last one remaining in this series, and she might still have some crazy moves to pull out. But by the end of that episode, with just that giant eye appearing behind Shinra, Coquettes, it's like, what is this? Like, what is going to happen here? And a lot of things in this episode were looking very Third Impact-y, very End of Evangelion. But then there's also a lot of Gurren Lagann being channeled in this episode with, like, like, don't underestimate us humans. Like, the thing about us is how unpredictable we are and how crazy we are. And it was just very much like, who the hell do you think we are? Don't underestimate humans. Like, yes, anime sort of cliches and tropes, but even more so Gurren Lagann. Very, very Gurren Lagann. Very End of Evangelion. And it makes me very curious as to what they're going to be doing with this last episode. And even the preview at the very end, there's no images, and it's literally like the weirdest message. It's like, as this battle reaches its most crucial moment, like, so does Studio Trigger. They're like saying that the end of this mother-daughter battle relies on us being able to finish our project. Like, let's get through this sort of thing. But they almost made it seem like they were setting up for a delay or setting up for something. I don't know. But I mean, is it going to end with the next episode? We still have that special bonus episode on the final Blu-ray. Could they try to get some sort of movie tie-in sort of thing? I feel like this has really gained popularity as it's gone on, so maybe we'll see. Who knows? But very cryptic preview. I'm very curious to see what they do in the extended preview, if there is going to be one. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'm so excited for the season finale of Kill La Kill next week. This was a great penultimate episode. Like I said, it really pulled everything together. Gave everybody a chance in the spotlight. Just like all these other series that these guys have done. They do a great job of shouting out everybody's favorite character so nobody feels left out. And yeah, just so much awesome stuff happening in this episode. Can't wait to see you guys next week. Peace.